live reports on that. And we're waiting for Stephen Meyer to join us. Let me just see, are we live on YouTube? Thank you. And Stephen C. Meyer is the author of Return of the God Hypothesis, 3 Scientific Discoveries that Reveal the Mind Behind the Universe. Stephen Meyer's book talks about a scientific basis for belief in God, and also traces the modern history of the Enlightenment movement and how it basically separated science and faith, or science and theism, not necessarily specific religions, and how in the broad sense, you can't, it's apples and oranges. Science is the study of the natural world. Belief in a creator of the universe, a God, is supernatural. It is outside of nature. It created nature. So you have 2 basic different disciplines there. Certainly one is interdependent with the other, but they are different. It's like apples and oranges. So, if you cannot prove that God exists through watching physical nature and scientific methodology, that doesn't mean anything. It's because it's not in nature. It's not natural. It is supernatural. And so, you're basically undergoing the wrong discipline. It's like, trying to prove an apple by showing what an orange is. I don't know. It's it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's what science has done. And in the process, they have gradually removed belief by citizens and by the individuals, not only in God, but in the idea that the human being, men and women, were created in the image of God, which is it's another theological construct that I think we can make a case is true. And we can look at nature to prove that, not to mention faith. So anyway, we've got hopefully Stephen C. Meyer joining us shortly, New York Times bestselling author of Darwin's Doubt. He is the author of Return of the God Hypothesis, 3 Scientific Discoveries that reveal the mind behind the universe. I'm looking forward to interviewing this author. If for some reason he can't make it today, then I'll have him on another day, because I'm determined to have him on. At 3 p.m., I've got Eastern Standard Time. I'll be joined by Josh Bernstein, who is one of the principal actors and activists in the Maricopa County, Arizona recount, which is supposed to begin tomorrow, and where there's going to be 1.2 million ballots counted and examined by hand. It's a forensic audit. There's a lot of controversy around that. Obviously, there's a lot of agitation going on. There's, people screaming that he's him and the Senate there, which by the way approved this and funded it, that they're involved with some kind of an insurrection and they're terrorists, and just this very hyperbolic and rather shrill ramping up of attacks against them for doing this. I also will note that some major insider players are descending on the state, law firms like Perkins Coie and people like Mark Elias, who's a major sort of Democrat operative, and and other people are descending on the state to try to, I think, create trouble, stop this audit, stir up trouble. There are rumors, and again, these are rumors, that Antifa and sort of the street thugs, the shock troops of the left and of the Democratic Party are going to show up in Phoenix and in Maricopa County to cause trouble as well, and to try to hurl charges and maybe engage, hopefully not, but possibly engage in violence, all to try to discredit, to stop, to slow down this important recount, because there's a lot at stake. I mean, obviously, if the recount is completed and they discover major improprieties in the election, in Arizona from last November, which of course are the charges that are being brought by the Arizona Senate based upon evidence that they have seen. I don't know what exactly that evidence is, but they have seen it and they voted on this. And if they find that that is the case, then obviously there's a lot at stake there, and that could have national ramifications. That could result in similar advancement of similar charges by similar state legislatures and similar people in other states, particularly Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. These states are also have been very contested. There are some major vulnerabilities in how they conducted their election. There already are some state decisions, some state court decisions against the way they conducted the election. Like, for example, in Michigan, a state judge has noted that the attorney general there, Jocelyn Benson, did not have the authority to change election law before the election by changing the standard by which absentee ballots would be counted. She basically said that they no longer needed to match signatures. They could just go forward and count a vote, even if the signature only looked slightly like it matched. It didn't quite match. In other words, she diluted the standards that had existed before and that had been put in place by the Michigan state legislature, and that were the laws of that state. She, acting as Secretary of State, simply marched in and changed the law. Now, 5 months later, there is a state judge who, responding to a lawsuit brought by several, I believe, county clerks, and this attorney DiPerno, who led the lawsuit, he has ruled in favor of rescinding that law. But it's too late now. My point here is that if the situation in Maricopa County bears fruit in terms of proving evidence or presenting evidence that there were improprieties, that could affect the whole apple cart. That could affect perceptions in these other vulnerable states. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to go too into it because, I don't want to be censored here, but there are issues that will be raised, hopefully. I will be having Josh Bernstein live here at 3 p.m. I have decided that I am going to run that live on YouTube, even though it might risk losing my station. I just think that this is news. This is free speech. This isn't some cockamamie conspiracy theory. This is happening. The state of Arizona, their state Senate has approved $150 million in funds, and they have authorized this recount, and it's undergoing. It's going to start tomorrow. So I am simply here to report on the news as it's happening. I'm not weaving any conspiracy theories. I have my opinions, but I'm focusing here. If I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected, right? I mean, if they have the audit and they find out that everything was hunky-dory and kosher and everything was perfect, I'll accept that. I simply want to see an audit done because the people of Arizona and their representatives in this Senate believe that there is that such a warrant, such an audit is warranted. They have voted for that. They have approved it because they believe that there's a reason for it. They believe that there were improprieties. Okay? I know you have to use that word. You can't use the F word. So fine, let's see. The audit is going to be done in the open with cameras running. The media will be there. You'll have both Democrats and Republicans sitting at the table, which of course was not what happened on election night, by the way. And in the months afterwards, when you had Republicans kept, 16 feet away, right? We remember those images in Wayne County, Michigan, when you had them locking the door and putting empty pizza boxes up with Scotch tape on the window so nobody could even see in. That's not what's going to happen here, all right? They're going to do it up front, not at midnight, when the cameras are running and, like what happened in that county in Georgia, which, again, I'm reporting news here. That's been in the news. I'm not weaving a theory. This was filmed what happened there. I'm not going to get into it. All right. But we know that people who can look it up for themselves. All right. It's out there. The point I'm making is that this particular audit, as it is launched in Arizona, is going to be on the up and up. It's going to have both sides there. The media will be there. And I say, let the truth come out one way or the other. We may finally know that everything was fine, as I say, in which case we can rest easy, knowing that these particular charges were not sufficient to cause such a development. Oh boy, did I miss Stephen Mayer? I guess that it says that he was supposed to be on with me yesterday. Oh, great. All right, so it looks like Stephen Mayer is not going to be here today, unfortunately. I'm going to have to reschedule with Steve, and hopefully he'll come on with me. I've made a mistake with the scheduling, which is not unusual for me, unfortunately, but that's where I am. So we did a little bit of a different comment on this show today, in that I am preparing for the 3 o'clock show with Josh Bernstein. So consider this program an advance